All right, thank you and welcome everyone to the Board of Aldermen meeting. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you everyone. We could first please start with minutes of previous meeting, February 16th, 2021. I would entertain a motion to approve.
Hello. Second.
We have a motion to approve and it has been seconded. Is there any changes or alterations to the minutes from the previous meeting? Hearing and seeing none. Would all those in favor please indicate by saying aye?
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. All right, we are now on to outside the rail. Do we have any members of the community who wish to board items that are not on the agenda? All right, hearing none, we will move on to communications from the mayor. Mayor Allaire.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just had two quick things I wanted to bring to the attention of the board if they hadn't already heard. I think one you have, one you haven't. First off, I was extremely pleased to be able to participate in the swearing in of 3 new firefighters this morning up at the fire station. I want to welcome, and I ask that you welcome to the firefighting corps, Austin Pirro, Art Howard, and Brian Porch to the as a full-time firemen. They've all been part of our part-time fire department corps, and I want to welcome them to the department full-time and wish them well in their fire service careers. In a second issue, totally and completely different from that, the city received the following letter late this afternoon from Richard Amori from the Department of Housing and Community Development. And this is in regards to a Better Places Award notification. And I will just read the first couple of lines. Dear Brennan and Barbara, congratulations. I am pleased to inform you that your placemaking project has been selected for the Better Places pilot program. One of our partners, the Vermont Department of Health, will provide the funding. The Better Places program is pleased to offer a grant to the city of Rutland in the amount of $19,275 from the Vermont Department of Health for the Center Street Streetscape Improvement Project. And this is building on the successful program that we had last summer over on Center Street. We applied for a grant to continue that project this coming summer and enhance it, and we have been successful. And this is a notification and award letter from the department. So good news in that front. A couple of good developments tonight that I wanted to bring to the board's attention. And that's all I have up to this point. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor Allaire. Any questions from members of the board? Hearing none, we will move on to additions and deletions to the agenda. Attorney Bloomer, I believe you have an addition.
Yes, I have an executive session regarding labor relations agreement.
All right.
Move to add.
Sorry.
Motion to add to the agenda.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to add, and it's been seconded. It's an executive session to the agenda. Would all those in favor please indicate by saying aye?
Aye. Aye.
And those opposed?
Thank you. Motion carries. So we will add that at the end of the meeting. Are there any other additions and deletions to the agenda? Hearing none, we are on to reports and letters from department heads and officials. Up first, City Forester Tim Smith, Red Pine request. This is page 1 of your packet. I will turn it over to you, Mr. Smith.
How about Jim Rotondo?
How about you,
Tim,
Rotondo?
are you in? Okay, I mean, I can go over it. Tim was gonna call in. I'm not sure if he wasn't able to connect or not. Well, we can start without him. Tim?
I'm here. I don't know.
Oh, good, okay. Okay, you're up.
I think I was muted. I didn't have a pin to get in, so I've been listening. But I have a quick I just have a quick explanation of it. If I can just go through that and let it kind of explain that memo I sent out, or Jim sent out this afternoon.
Very good. Floor is yours.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm requesting authorization to harvest the remaining red pine stands we have in the Rutland City Forest. The timber is declining still due to the red pine scale, which is a piercing, sucking insect. We had marked these 3 stands. It's about 29 acres total 3 years ago, but they weren't harvested at the time due to the markets kind of falling out, and it wasn't economically feasible for anybody to harvest the timber at the time. And when we marked it, it was around 230,000 board feet, but due to some more mortality and wind throw, I believe I'm going to have to remark the timber. So now the market's back up, and I'd like to sever the remaining timber before much more of it dies. Doing so will allow the city to first and foremost protect its watershed from fire danger, which would be elevated with the dead standing highly resinous material, and secondly allow the city to profit off the remaining timber. The natural regeneration is existing in the understory currently, and that will be preserved to take over. If approved by the board, I will mark and retally the stands once ground conditions improve this spring. Currently, the snow loads are around 3 feet, makes it kind of difficult to accurately tally the remaining timber. Bids will be in lump sum, and minimum accepted value will be $70 per 1,000 board feet. There's also potential for, due to the large size and density of this timber, that we receive bids in excess of the $70 per 1,000 board feet. If there's any questions, I'm open to answering them now or anytime in the future. That's all I have.
Alderman Clifford.
Yes, I move to suspend the rules and take this up. Second.
We have a motion to suspend the rules, and it's been seconded. Would all those in favor indicate by saying aye?
Aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Clifford.
I would move to authorize the city forester to advertise for bid the harvesting of the remaining red pine timber in the city watershed.
Second.
We have a motion that's been seconded. Alderman Davis. Oh, you're on mute.
My apologies. I just have a question in regards to the revenue, where it returns to from the timber sales.
Yeah. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
In the past, I know Dave Schneider, we've always deposited those. It comes in 3 payments once they bid on it, and we always deposited them to the water fund.
All right. Thank you very much.
No problem. You're welcome. Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Smith? Alderman Torrey.
Just quickly, so did you say we haven't been able to harvest any of the timber that we had kind of marked a few years back?
No, we harvested probably 80 to 90% of it. This is just a little bit left over. Yeah, we probably harvested like 900,000 board feet, and there's like 200,000 left over. It's just the markets kind of dropped at the end, and we weren't able to add that on to the contract that was taking place, because basically it would have costed them. They would have maybe broken even on cutting it, so they didn't purchase that remaining piece.
Perfect. Thanks. I thought we did. So yeah, that's great. Thank you very much for your work.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Are there any additional questions for Forrester Smith?
Like
Hearing
I said,
and
if anybody
seeing-
wants to reach out, I'm always there to answer questions.
Thank you. So we have a motion seconded to authorize the harvesting of the remaining red pine timber in Rutland City watershed and to then bring that forward to bid. Would all those in favor please indicate by saying aye?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. All right. DPW Commissioner Rotondo, request for RFP for metal study. This is page 2 of our packet.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I request the board authorize the mayor to seek proposals to provide professional services related to performing a metal study along the segment of Moonbrook that passes House Center. This study is a requirement of the Moonbrook Impairment Settlement Agreement between A&R and the city, which was signed in October of 2016. And that agreement stipulates that this study needs to be completed no later than October of this year. And the purpose of the study is to determine whether the metal-laden sediments found at the bottom of the creek contribute to stream impairments in or near the segment of Moonbrook that passes House Center.
Alderman Clifford.
Move to suspend the rules.
Second.
We have a motion. It's been seconded. Would all those in favor indicate by saying aye?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Clifford.
So I move to authorize the mayor to seek proposals from qualified individuals and firms to provide professional services related to performing a metal study along the segment of Moonbrook that passes House Center.
Second.
Motion has been seconded. Are there any further questions, discussion to Alderman Garuso?
Yeah, Jim, a question or two here. What happens if the study finds these metals, zinc, copper, or whatever, in the brook? What happens next?
Well, I don't believe that this agreement really stipulates that. Obviously, I think, the intent is if they find the metals there and that the metals are impairing the water, that obviously they're going to want them mitigated. So this is really the first step, just to find out if those metals are impairing the water. And then there'll be further discussions with A&R to find out what needs to be done.
Okay, because I'm just following up. I know if they would try to tag the city to clean it up, or how to clean it up, or both of us to clean it up. Is just if you had any idea, because we've run into this before. Things could be costly, and I was curious. When they find this stuff, does the onus fall onto us to be the ones responsible?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that's going to be a discussion further down the line once it's determined if it's actually causing a problem.
Okay, so this would be the next step to get to that point and find out who's going to pay the piper, right?
That would be the second step. I mean, this step right now is just to run the study to find out what effect the metals in the sediment are having on the creek itself. And once
Right.
that's determined, then depending on what type of mitigation, if there is mitigation required, I would say that at that point, discussions will take place between the property owner, A&R, and ourselves, and we'll have to determine at that point how we proceed.
And they have one more final thing. So they have a measure on levels from back in 2016, and they'll be measuring levels now to see if it's an increase or decrease, right?
No, this is the agreement was in 2016. That was the final settlement. But
Right.
prior to that,
I should say 14.
prior to that, there was a third-party investigation that led to this settlement agreement. And I believe that was partially paid for from the city and A&R. I believe it was sanctioned by both parties to try to determine, how to attack the impairment. So really, the metals were tested via that third party group that we hired. So that was before 2016.
Actually, it says here sediment chemistry of Moonbrook near the house center was sampled in 2014.
Correct.
So hopefully we're going to hope that they come back going down in that direction. All right. Well, thanks for your time. Thanks for that. I just hate to see us, bugged for another bill. That's all. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Are there any additional questions, discussion, or debate? Seeing none, we have a motion. It's been seconded to authorize the mayor to seek proposals from qualified individuals and firms to provide professional services related to performing a study along the Moonbrook that passes the House Center. Would all those in favor please indicate by saying aye?
Aye.
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 Great, thank you.
And those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, we are on now to Attorney Bloomer. All of his items were emailed, and the first thing we have up is the approval of signed ordinance summary for newspaper notice. You are on there. There you are.
Thank you. I'm going to try to push the bounds of technology here tonight and see if I can share my screen. Let's see here. Here we go. Okay, let me know if you can see that, though, for those of you that are on video. So with in relation to the sign ordinance amendments that you approved last meeting, there's a newspaper notice that goes out, and that kind of starts the clock running on when the ordinance amendments will go into effect. If there's just a small amendment, then we actually put the amendment in the notice. It'll show the change in language. But because this was an overhaul, our charter requires that the city attorney draft a summary of what's changed, or summary of what's changed in the amendments, and then there needs to be 200 copies of the ordinances available at the city clerk's office for anyone who wants to come in and see a full version of the changes. So with as this project has gone, with about 90% of the effort by Alderwoman Mattis and the final 10% from me to put this into this form, this is what we've come up with to summarize the amendments that you have approved. So in order to, this actually also by charter has to be approved by the board before it goes into the newspaper. So that's what my request is tonight, is to approve this version of the notice, and then this is what Henry would take care of getting published. So I don't know how well you can read it on here. I did send it by email sometime this afternoon. I can't remember. I sent you a few different emails this afternoon, so I can read it too if it's too small on your screens. As far as the bullet points go, just let me know if anyone's interested in that. See if I can blow it up.
Alderman Garuso.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. It may sound unrelated, but right in the middle of work today at a very crucial time, I've got a series of emails from Mr. Fogg there from the Credit Union of Vermont. and I have not had time to read him. Actually, just reminded me that he sent them to me, to Alderman Mattis, and I called him and told him it wasn't a good time to be dealing with this, that I was really publishing today. But he basically said that this ordinance is going to level his sign right to the ground. And I thought that these were minimal changes, and he said no, they were effective immediately. Maybe Alderman Mattis can help me out with that, because she knows his sign sure a lot better than I do. But he was very upset, and he sent me a series of emails that, or letters or whatever they are, to Rebecca Mattis, and Brian's I do business with him, I guess. He owns my truck, but I don't know what to say there. I mean, I guess we put this out and go through the procedure of warning it and let people come in and complain, but somehow he's very, very upset over it, and I don't know if anyone else is going to be that upset too. But I didn't, Rebecca, I'm asking this. I didn't realize it was that, severely different than the old one, but he claims it is. Are you there?
Alderman would like to provide clarity.
Sure, I can answer. Indeed, the new ordinance is quite a big change. However, the new ordinance wouldn't level Brian's sign. His sign would be non-conforming under the new ordinance because of its size and because of the size of his electronic message board. And the triggers for compliance that were passed do say that if a significant change is made to the sign, then the sign would have to comply. So presumably, if the board wants to change that, we can. It's really up to us. But indeed, it would not require him to remove his sign unless he makes a significant change to the sign. So that's all I can say about that. I hope that answers your question, Sam.
It does. I see you've had quite a lot of correspondence with him. He's a nice guy, and he's it's like I said, it was a surprise to me because I haven't followed it that well. But I guess we need to talk to him and see what his wishes are. But he was upset earlier, and like I said, I had no time for him. I was in the middle of work. But as you know, we didn't want to upset the city. And again, I commend you for your work on it. I still will, and always will. You did a great job, and I'm sorry he's upset, because I didn't, and I think the rest of the members didn't mean to upset anyone. So, and he's got a nice sign, I think. But thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman McGrew. So, Alderwoman Davis.
Right, and also, I believe that the non-conforming issue is not triggered to January of 2023. Is that correct?
If I can answer that, in fact, the January 2023 date was not actually added to the one line of the triggers for compliance that referred to a change in the lighting portion of the sign. So it could well be that the board may wish to add that amendment to that line. Perhaps it was something that we hadn't thought of. And I assume that that's something that the board can do, that we can make changes whenever we want. If if things come up like this that sort of sneaked through our intent, I assume we can change it. And this may well be one of those things that we want to change. I don't remember the exact line, but it was one of the lines in the grandfather clause, a change to the materials of the sign. including the lighting materials. And I think Brian was concerned about if he had to upgrade the LED materials of that portion of his sign, then that would mean that he would have to change the whole sign. And I know that our intent was so that that wouldn't happen until January 1st, 2023. And I'm hoping and assuming that if that's a change we want to make, that we can certainly make it.
Thank you, Alderman Mattis. Alderwoman Davis.
I just have a question. If we're being asked to publish a warning for the ordinance, but I'm hearing that there may be some discussion to do some amendments to the ordinance. So I think that's a discussion we have to have, or we have to table this. I don't know if we're in the time frame that we can table, because we have to be so many days past passing the ordinance. But I think if we're going to amend something, I would rather have that discussion previous to posting this notice.
Alderman Clifford.
Yes, question for the city attorney. Matt, how long do we have after this is published for its set stone?
It takes effect after 20 days from publication. And then if you see at the bottom, there's an option for the voters to sign a petition and basically ask the legislative body to have a special meeting. That's not the most efficient way, as Alderwoman Mattis mentioned. Probably if there's enough people that you've heard from that have identified an issue, the better way to go about it would be to have the board amend the ordinance to fix whatever was either overlooked or not fully considered. I'd say you have a couple options. If you approve this, because you've approved the ordinance already, but really it's kind of just in purgatory until the notice is put out to the public. So if you put this out, it sort of starts the 20 days on the last version that you approved. You could, of course, do something interim, and then you'd have to also do a notice of that, and it would take place 20 days after that notice. You also could potentially hold off from publishing this if you know that you're going to take up a particular amendment, but that would just delay this going into effect because it wouldn't go into the paper and the 20 days wouldn't start running.
So this is the mayor. If I could just briefly just make a comment. I think there is a concern there. I don't think that was the board's intent. Certainly to have one of our business owners have to completely change the sign. We're talking thousands and thousands of dollars for, in this case, an illumination issue. I would suggest holding off publishing anything and take it up as an amendment. If it's at the next board meeting, it's at the next board meeting. But I don't think that was, after hearing all the debate last time and all the good work that everyone has done, and in particular Alderwoman Mattis, that this was something that we had foreseen. So that would be my suggestion, if you could hold off on publishing anything until you've had a time to debate this particular issue. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor Alera. I have Alderman DuPoy and then Garuso.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to make a motion to table the public notice on the sign ordinance at this time then. And after we vote on that, I will make a referral for the amendment.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to table by Alderman DePoy, and I believe that was Alderman Caruso who seconded. This is non-debatable, so all those in favor of tabling this, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion to table carries. And then Alderman DePoy.
And I'd like to motion to refer that said amendment to Charter Ordinance so that we can hash this out and get the correct language in there.
Second.
All right, there's a motion to refer, and it has been seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? Hearing and seeing none, would all those in favor of referring this issue back to Charter and Ordinance Committee for further discussion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. All right, thank you, everyone.
Point of order.
Alderman Torrey.
Thank you. Just, I guess this would be for the attorney parliamentarian question. Given the election of tomorrow and the turnover date, is it possible for the current Charter and Ordinance Committee to meet next week on this, since they've done so much work on it, and a report to be issued out by whomever at the next meeting? Based for that amendment, in case there's significant changeover, transfers of chairs and all that kind of stuff. Is that something that is possible under our rules?
Yes, the charter actually calls for the new aldermen to take their elected positions on March 15th. So anything that occurs prior to March 15th would be the current board, and then as of that date would be the new board. So it may be, it may be the Charter and Ordinance Committee making a recommendation, and it would likely be a new board, composed of some new members on the 15th that would be taking up the recommendation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Torrey, and thank you. So yes, I guess if we could get this scheduled for any time in the next 2 weeks, just to make sure that the same people who worked on it have the chance to get back and finish this. All right, Attorney Bloomer, you up again. Authorization to enter a Brella Program related to CSJ purchase, and this was also.
Yes, thank you. I think I actually may start if Brennan can hear me and is tuning in. I may, if I could pick on him to just. He's been a little bit more in the know as to the environmental investigations that have gone on within the site. And I think he can probably give a little bit of backdrop into the slight contamination that's been identified in underneath the maintenance building, which is part of the parcel that we are slated to purchase here towards the end of March. So Brennan, if you're able to do that, sorry I didn't ask you beforehand, but I think from our conversations, you're in the know on that, and I think that'd be helpful before I just talk about what the Brella program, the benefits of that.
Okay, thanks, Matt. I'm happy to. So basically, we've been undergoing a number of studies of environmental conditions on the site of the former College of St. Joseph. Lot A, which is in particular the interest of the city, had a finding of what's called a recognized environmental condition around the former maintenance garage, and that has been found in one phase 1 ESA, and then we have through the Regional Planning Commission conducted a second phase 2 ESA, which was also, conclusive that there are some contaminants in the soil in that area, and are now onto a supplement to the phase 2, which is to really try to understand exactly what and how much contaminant is going on there at that location. This is probably tied to the former use of that building and some floor drains that were installed that might have leached out some contaminants used in containing vehicles, I think is what we're assuming. It does not sound like it is a catastrophic issue, but it is now a known issue. So I think Matt will now go into the Brella program and what that will mean to the city. But basically, there is a state program that would limit our liability prior to the purchase of that property for the future, and in return, we will be required to understand what is found there and have a solution to that in the future as well. So Matt, I'll turn it back over to you unless there are any specific questions about what's there that I might be able to answer.
Thanks, Brennan. Yeah, I'll see. I don't know if anybody has any questions at the moment. It may help to have the context of what we're asking you to authorize tonight, and then you could ask questions at the end as well. So what we were looking for tonight is to have you authorize the mayor to seek entrance into the Brella program, execute all the related documents, and to submit the $500 application fee. The fee, I believe, was previously authorized in the last round of discussion we had about some of the prospective costs to do with the purchase. So I think it's already been authorized out of the, that 50,000 that was earmarked. But just for kind of belt and suspenders, have you kind of reauthorize the mayor to actually submit that fee. And we haven't, because it's such a big purchase, and it does have quite a bit of, these issues that at least I felt it was, it would behoove the city to have somebody who does large scale real estate transactions. So we do have an attorney who has been kind of guiding us through some of these issues. And I asked him if he could provide just a quick synopsis of some of the benefits of entering the program. It was at his recommendation that we have, pursued it so far as what's needed. And so I'll just quickly read what he said so you can get it more from the horse's mouth. So he said, the city's enrollment of the CSJ parcel in the Agency of Natural Resources Brownfields Reuse and Liability Limitation Act, that's where the BRELLA acronym comes from, is a way out of the liability chain normally associated with so-called brownfields, which are properties that have evidence or a record of hazardous waste contamination. Vermont law provides that the Agency of Natural Resources can hold current owners of contaminated properties liable for pre-existing hazardous waste contamination. However, the BRELLA program encourages the redevelopment of previously contaminated properties by providing liability protection to prospective purchasers that have not caused or contributed to such contamination. In addition to the grant of liability protection, prospective purchasers in the BRELLA program can also benefit from earlier issuance of liability protection near the start of long-term monitoring activities, as well as opportunities to obtain financial assistance for and cost caps on remediation activity. Since some historic contamination has been discovered underneath the maintenance building on the former CSJ campus, City will benefit significantly from entering into the BRELLA program and the liability protection the program provides, if we can do so prior to its acquisition later in March. So that was his actually pretty good synopsis of why there's a significant benefit for the city to pursue this. So that being said, I do have the motion, which I can read off for somebody to move, and then maybe we could ask questions or debate at that point, if that works.
Yeah, if we could just suspend the rules first.
Second.
We have a motion to suspend, and it has been seconded. Would all those in favor please indicate by saying aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
All right, 9 in favor, 1 opposed to suspending the rules. Attorney Wilmer, if you'd like to read the proposed motion.
Sure. The motion is to authorize the mayor to seek entrance into the BRELLA program, execute all related documents, and to submit the $500 application fee from the funds previously authorized.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion. It's been seconded. Alderman Boyd.
Brennan or Matt, is this something that's maybe should have been done a long time ago? Given, I mean, and I wouldn't say a long time ago, at least, you know, maybe upon the lease that the city signed with St. Joe's and subsequently Heritage Family. And also, this email says that it was found underneath the maintenance building. So are we boring holes through the, you know, the slab that's at the bottom of that building? I mean, how are we actually going underneath the building to find some kind of contaminants?
Brennan may be able to speak a little bit more to the actual what's happening on the site, but I can hit really like the high level that with redeveloping the CSJ property, the Regional Planning Commission has been involved in kind of ushering through some of this environmental site investigation because it's a pretty key component to the redevelopment. So I don't remember the timing of when the phase 1 was done, but we're not really in a position to enter this program until we're going to be a purchaser. So as a lessee, or yeah, I guess a lessee, it wouldn't affect, you know, we wouldn't have any obligation as a lessee if there were contamination under that building. It's not until we actually own the property that we could potentially have liability for whatever's happening there. So, you know, we've known about this for some period of time, but because the closing isn't taking place until the end of March, it didn't really make sense to pursue it until closer to the date that we were planning to take over. And Brennan may be able to speak to how they've conducted the testing, but it's been done by a third party, I think, environmental consultant.
Sure. Yeah, Matt, I'm happy to. So Tom, it looks like they actually have the floor drain outlets, and they have tested the soil around those outlets. So they're not drilling through necessarily the cement slab of the building, but the exterior. And just for the timing of this, so it looks like when Heritage acquired that property, they conducted a first phase 1 back in March of last year. The phase 2 supplemental began in October. And again, to enroll into this program, we had to update the phase 1 because it expires after 6 months. So that's kind of the timing of how these studies have occurred.
And Matt, if I may, Brennan, who's paid for all of these studies?
So the Regional Planning Commission to this point has paid for all of the studies going on that campus.
Alderman Garuso.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I voted no on suspending the rules just because, first of all, I can't find where the stuff is and all of what we got sent to us at 5:10 tonight. And again, I had to work today. I heard some maybes, possiblies, I'm not sures in their presentation, and that included us having approved things like $12,500 for legal services that we forgot about, title insurance, this Brella policy, solar metering for $20,000, HVAC for $5,000, internet for $5,000. This thing just keeps popping up with expenses to me, and it's like never ending. And that's all I said no for, was I'd like to think about it. People ask me these questions. Gee, why'd you approve that? Gee, why'd you do this? And I'm going, well, I guess the rest of the board thought it was good, and I didn't really get much time to study it because I got this stuff at 10 after 5, 2 hours before the meeting. And I'd like some time sometimes to think about it. Well, we're spending money every meeting here, and Yeah, I don't care where it comes from. It's free grant money, I guess it is. But every time I turn around, there's money to be spent, and now we've got possibly toxic waste on a piece of property that we bought. And that wasn't brought up before we got into this deal. And it's not our property; it's the city's property. It's the taxpayers' property. And I'm not grandstanding, by the way, folks. I'm just trying to make sense of what we're doing here. So that's why I voted against it, because I'm sick of just approving stuff and suspending the rules on every darn thing we do. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Garuso. Is there any further discussion, debate, questions? Alderwoman Davis.
Well, I guess I'll address this to Brennan. Brennan, was this an unknown entity through all the discussions with Heritage, the College of St. Joe, and the City of Rutland?
No, as Matt mentioned, I think we've known for some time that there are contaminants through the different studies that have occurred over the last basically 12 months since Heritage took possession of the property from the college. So I don't think any of this is a surprise. I think, again, what we've heard is that these are not huge issues that we're going to be dealing with. But I think, again, as Matt said, it makes sense for the small amount of money to enroll in this program to do so at this time before we take ownership.
Thank you.
If I may too, my recollection is that the original phase one identified that there were, and Brennan, you may have a better sense of what this is, but it identified that they picked up on some vapors that may indicate that there's soil contamination in that area, but we didn't know until the phase two investigation occurred, which I forget the timing of that, Brennan, but I believe it was after we approved the letter of intent / purchase and sale agreement. It was not confirmed kind of what was there until we had a little bit more information from the phase two. Again, but everything's running honestly, it's like Groundhog Day. I can't remember dates, and it just seems like every single day has been the same for a year. So, Brennan, I don't know if that's accurate, or if the phase one indicated something more, or I guess confirmed something was there, or whether it just raised a flag.
Yeah, Matt, I think that's accurate. I think as the studies have continued, we've kind of learned more about this, and we actually, again, back in the, I think it was November, began to enter into this supplemental phase two, which is really, what's needed to determine exactly what's there in the scope of the issue. So again, we're kind of running on simultaneous paths here. We certainly want to be able to close on that property. We might or might not know more about the defined contaminants by then. But again, I think the ask tonight of the Board of Aldermen is just to enter into this liability protection program to ensure that the city is not held liable after we've purchased that property. And again, the timing of when we'll know specifically on that is probably not going to be before that closing date.
Thank you, Brennan. Alderman Garuso.
Just a quick one. So if I go back to the November meeting, guys, that's where I'll find where this was presented to us about the contamination. Is that what you're saying?
I don't remember the timing of the phase two. You mean just any November meeting, or a specific one?
No. You guys just said it was brought up to us when we did the purchase and sales.
No, I was saying that we didn't know about it prior to the purchase and sale. The phase two took place after those dates.
Okay.
We did not come in, I guess, with an update when it was to say, by the way, this is what the phase two is telling us. We've been kind of dealing with that on the administrative front, and this is the first time that the board, I guess, is understanding that there's an issue, and again, which I think the phase two has identified as not, I think whatever Brennan said, not a catastrophic issue, but something that's.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Matt, what are you requesting the board to do?
So the motion was to just authorize the mayor to seek entrance into the Brella program, execute all the related documents, and submit the $500 application fee. And that will at least let us push the ball forward with becoming eligible, so that when the purchase happens, you know, we know that we have been accepted in the program. If we're not accepted into the program, then, you know, it's probably another conversation to have. But the program itself will, you know, create quite a bit of benefit on the liability side for, you know, what has been found there.
And I believe, Mr. Chair, that motion's been made and seconded.
The motion has been made and seconded. Alderman Gillum, I thought I saw your hand.
I just want to sum this up. What we're doing here is buying an insurance policy to protect us from long-term liability on the property. Am I correct? Is this what we're doing right now?
Yes, and there's also, it may open us up to grant assistance to help remediate, you know, whatever the plan becomes to remediate the issue. That's another benefit. So we get the insurance, you know, as you put it, Bill, and then there's also, you know, an opportunity to potentially get financial assistance for the remediation. It is a kind of a redevelopment program, because they know if they don't offer this, then areas with hazardous waste are just going to lay fallow. So the idea is to incentivize purchasers to redevelop these areas and work with A&R to, you know, remediate to the extent necessary.
So there's a brownfield piece to this also on top
Yes.
of the insurance. Okay.
Yes.
So this is a good situation for us to be in before we purchase this property, protect ourselves.
Yeah, for purposes of tonight, I don't think there's really much reason not to spend the $500 to put the process into motion. You know, the existence of the contaminants is kind of another issue that the board could, you know, we could continue to update the board on, and we have time before the closing to, you know, hopefully get a better sense of what's there. Although Brennan was just saying, I think the engineer, the timing is not perfect, because the engineering firm may not have everything completed by the time of closing. But I think we can see what else. I don't know if I heard Bob Peterson, or I thought I maybe heard Bob Peterson, but I could have just been.
I'm here.
Okay, so I don't know, Bob. If
yeah,
you jump in.
I was just going to add, Matt, that I did speak with the folks who did the assessment, the environmental assessment. Wanted to get a little clearer understanding in my head. They did do cores in the floor inside. They found trace amounts of a vapor. It sounds minimal. And for the floor drains, I know there's been some discussion about that tonight. The floor drains actually daylight into a swale close in proximity of the building, and they didn't find any residuals or any problems with the soil where that daylight. So, you know, my guess is that this isn't as big of a concern as we think it could be. It sounds like it's minimal. But I think you're right. The insurance, we'd be crazy not to enter into that agreement, because there's a lot of support to deal with these things. And sometimes it's just a matter of monitoring, and, you know, as you're going forward. So I guess I just want to convey to the board that I don't think we should blow this out of proportion. Certainly it's something to be concerned about. But what I was able to gather is it doesn't look like maybe it's as big a problem as one might think.
Thanks, Bob.
We have a motion that has been seconded. Is there any additional questions, discussion, debate on this issue? If not, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Attorney Bloomer, Brennan, and Bob. We will be returning to you at the end of the meeting, Attorney Blomeyer.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So we're on to reports of standing committees, of which we have none. Reports of select committees, of which we have none. Reports of representatives, we have none. Petitions,
Actually,
letters.
Mr. President, can I just give a brief report? Sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. I just wanted to get back to the board about the traffic safety committee item that Alderman Garuso and Alderman Gillum had brought up a couple meetings ago. There was concern about traffic piling up at Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts. And so the traffic committee met last Friday and talked about this. Zoning Administrator Tara Kelly is going to reach out to Starbucks because they actually had developed a plan for what to do if traffic built up. So she's just going to talk to them and make sure that they are following that plan. And then the other thing that came up is the revision to the zoning ordinance that we have. And they're talking about what's the appropriate level for regulations for properties in the gateway districts. And so some of this might include standards for what is called stacking distance, which is basically means how much room you have for cars that are waiting at drive-throughs. And so it's an idea to build in some standards for stacking distance so that we are clear about what we need in terms of traffic regulation at those kinds of drive-throughs. So that's just something to think about for the future. But as to the situation that was brought up, she's going to talk to Starbucks, and it seemed like Chief Kilcullen said there hadn't been any accidents or anything like that. So that's all.
Thank you, Alderwoman Maz, for that update. We are on to petitions, letters, miscellaneous communication. We have GMP poll and wire requests. This is pages 3 through 5. Alderman Clark.
Rules.
We have a motion to suspend, and it has been seconded. Would all those in favor of suspending the rules please indicate by saying aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, motion carries. And just to know, Alderwoman Humphrey does abstain from this because of her employer is agreement on power. Alderman Clifford.
I'd move for the approval of the pole and wire relocation request by Mountain Power, along with the 7 standard conditions.
Second.
All right, we have a motion that has been seconded. Is there any discussion or debate on the issue? Hearing and seeing none, would all those in favor please indicate by saying aye?
Aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. All right, we are on to Board of Control Commissioners, of which you have an
I'll move to go into control commissioners.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion, and it has been seconded to go into the Board of Control Commissioners. Would all those in favor please indicate by saying aye?
Aye.
And those opposed? We are now in the Board of Control Commissioners. We have Medusa Lounge, outside consumption request. This is page 6 of your packet.
I'll move to authorize the clerk to sign on our behalf.
Second.
We have a motion that has been seconded. Is there any discussion or debate?
I'm just curious, is this the old hideaway? Is that where we are?
Correct. Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so we have a motion that has been seconded. Is there any further discussion or debate? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
I'll move to go out of the Board of Control Commissioners.
We have a motion, and it was seconded by Alderman Gillum to go out of the Board of Control Commissions. Would all those in favor please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? We are out of the Board of Control Commissioners. We are now on to unfinished business. Does anyone have any unfinished business to come before the board? Hearing and seeing none, we are on to miscellaneous motions, resolutions, and new business. Alderman Clifford.
I just wanted to wish everyone good luck tomorrow in the election. I'd also like to thank Alderwoman Ryan, Alderwoman Humphrey, and Alderman Chrissy Torrey for the years of service on this board.
Thank you, Alderman Clifford. Alderman Garuso.
Yes, I'll echo his Alderman Clifford's statement there. I don't know if maybe I had to wait till after things, but I think this is an interesting one that maybe the other aldermen have run into. Being that there's so many candidates, I'm getting this question a lot, and maybe it's time. Our forefathers decided to have us have nonpartisan elections in the city, and I don't know. I think I saw it in the charter many years ago, and I haven't researched it. And some people are saying, why don't you guys have initials at the end of your names? And I said, I don't know, it doesn't mean anything to me. But people have been asking me with so many candidates, especially with the Board of Aldermen, that maybe we ought to go to it. And so if we can make a motion to charter an ordinance to research putting our party on the end of our name or whatever, because that would kind of help people define what people are running for, and maybe make it easier. Because some people have said if they had their party identity, it would help me define what party they represent. And maybe Rutland might want to look at that. I don't know, but that's my motion, is to refer to charter and ordinance the possibility of adding a party to their name. Wow, no second. All right.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I think Alderman Garuso would have to do the research, but the reason we don't do that is we're not elected by wards. So in Burlington, they're elected by wards, and that's why they claim a party status. And then each ward has to fight against each other to get funding or this type of stuff. I don't think it's ever going to be good for the city of Rutland.
Oh, I've read that. That makes no sense at all. And I agree with that. I didn't realize that that was also gone. The ward thing, I fully supported that. That was ridiculous that the city did it. And you can see the numbers on our desks were part of that, that you ran by ward and you did that. That was a crazy thing that we got rid of. I didn't realize that the partisan side went with that. If it did, then I'm against that. I thought it was just to show that we were all one. But so I can understand then why I didn't get a second. And if that's the thing, I would not want to run by wards. I'd never want to do that again. So I'll withdraw any motion whatsoever before I don't get a second. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Garuso, and thank you, Alderman Davis. Are there any other miscellaneous motions, resolutions, or new business? If not, Attorney Bloomer, before turning it over to you, I do want to personally thank Alderwoman Ryan, Alderman Torrey, Alderwoman Humphrey for your service. It takes a lot of courage to put your name on the ballot and to do this work. It's not easy, and I really appreciate all that you guys brought to the city. To Alderman Mattis, Gillum, and DuPoy, I wish you the best of luck. To Alderman Torrey and Garuso and Mayor Allaire, I wish you the best of luck tomorrow as well. Attorney Bloomer.
Thank you. So there are potentially two executive sessions tonight. The first must occur tonight, and you'll find out more why in a second. The second is not urgent. I sent you the information earlier today about an agreement that we came to with the Recreation Maintenance Department. So we have been doing both all of the executive session motions here in the public session, and then staying in executive session. But I guess I would leave it to the board to determine whether you want to take both up tonight, or you want to see how the first one goes and then come back into public session to do the second set of motions if you decide to keep going. I think those are kind of the couple different options that we may want to discuss here in public session before we go into executive session.
What is the board's pleasure? Alderman Torrey.
Thanks. The tone of that sounded ominous, Attorney Bloomer, that we might be talking in executive session for an hour or two, in which case, you're right, I might want to hold off. But I think after reading the contract with the rec maintenance crew and the way it came about and kind of the mechanics of it, I'm happy to do both of them. If we have to do the first one, the rec maintenance CBA seems to be pretty straightforward and shouldn't take much time. So seems to make sense to do all at once.
All right. I don't know if other folks feel that the I forget what time I sent it out today. So, again, in the interest of giving people an opportunity to review that, if people have had an opportunity to review it, it's fairly straightforward as to what was agreed to. But if there are folks that have not had a chance to look at it, again, it wouldn't take a lot to brush up on it tonight. But it is and I do anticipate that the first executive session, it won't be a 2-hour executive session, but there will be some discussion. It won't be the quickest one we've ever had. So. I guess if other folks are feeling like they're up to speed somewhat on the rec maintenance situation, then I think that hopefully will not take a ton of discussion other than just to outline again what was agreed to and take your questions. So we can do all the motions unless anybody would prefer to move that rec maintenance discussion to the next meeting.
Sounding as though take it up all at once, Attorney Bloomer.
Okay, so I'll give you your 4 motions for both of these executive sessions. So the first one is to find that premature general public knowledge regarding probable litigation to which the city would be a party would clearly place the city at a substantial disadvantage because the discussion will divulge the city's strategy in such probable litigation. It will include confidential attorney-client communications made for the purpose of providing professional legal services to the city.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. The motion has been seconded. Would all those in favor please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
And then a motion to enter into executive session with the inclusion of the city attorney, Robert Fletcher, who's our outside counsel, interim commissioner of public works, treasurer, and mayor to discuss probable litigation as allowed under Title I, 313A1E and Title I, Section 313A1F.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion that's been seconded. Would all those in favor please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
All right, and then the second set of motions is a motion to find that premature general public knowledge regarding the negotiation of a labor relations agreement would clearly place the city at a substantial disadvantage because the discussion will divulge the board's position on the agreement provisions to be negotiated.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion that's been seconded. Would all those in favor please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, motion carries. Attorney Bloomer.
And then a motion to enter into executive session with the inclusion of the mayor, recreation superintendent, maintenance director, treasurer, and city attorney to discuss the labor relations agreement as allowed under Title I, Section 313A1B.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion. It's been seconded. Would all those in favor please indicate by saying aye?
Aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. I believe that is it, and we will stand down, log off, and log back in to executive session.
I'll say that again. A motion to ratify the settlement agreement between the city, Belden Company, Inc., and ECI on the terms presented, and to pay such settlement amounts from the sewer capital improvement fund. Is that what we think it's called?
That's what she said.
Okay.
If she didn't, we'll change.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion. It's been seconded. Is there any debate or discussion on this? Hearing and seeing none. Would all those in favor please indicate by saying aye?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Attorney Bloomer?
Okay, and then authorization for the mayor to execute settlement documents with Weston and Sampson on substantially the same terms presented, and to deposit such amounts in the sewer capital improvement fund.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion. It's been seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? Hearing and seeing none. Would all those in favor please indicate by saying aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Attorney Bloomer?
That's all I have. Again, I guess you can decide what you want to do with the recreation labor relations agreement. I think it would be fine as long as the chair and Henry are willing to put it on next time, that we can just take that route and don't necessarily need to formally table it, unless you'd like to do so for whatever reason.
So it won't get lost in the shuffle, or is it safe to not table it?
Yeah, I mean, for those that don't know this, I'm expecting, my wife is actually expecting, but I'm expecting with her on Thursday. She's scheduled to go in, and we're having a baby girl. So maybe it would make sense to table it, because my mind might not be.
Right, and it'll be on the minutes, so that's safe. That's a good idea.
Good idea, Sam.
I'll move it. I'll move that we move it next week to or to the next meeting.
Okay.
Contract there, please.
Second.
And congratulations.
Yes,
Thank you.
congratulations. I'm getting a phlebotomy Thursday, so maybe I'll see you.
Too much information.
Tom, you got to give me
I'll be
advice.
in
Tom,
if
you
they
got to
say-
give me advice about having a girl.
like
just
Elvis
say
Presley,
that.
Sam Garusso's in the building. Maybe they'll say Matt Bloomer's in the building.
Matt, start saving now.
All right.
All right. We have a motion to table, and it has been seconded for the recreation discussion. Would all those in favor please indicate by saying aye?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we have tabled it. Attorney Bloomer, is that everything from you?
That is it.
Then unless we have nothing else pressing, I'll invite Alderwoman Humphrey to adjourn us for one last time.
Yeah.
Alderwoman Humphrey.
Thanks, Chair. But I think this might be a first for me, but I will move to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion to adjourn, and it has been seconded. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye. Good luck to you. Good luck. Good luck, everybody.
Good luck to everybody.
Stay safe.